So, folks, we got to continue talking about ICE because it is, in fact, a huge and growing problem with every day that passes, and it is continuing to affect not just Minneapolis, Minnesota, but also elsewhere in the country. It is growing. It is a threat that will not stop until we stand up and stop it. Bernie Sanders put out a call to action and a warning just 13 hours ago, as of the recording of this, titled "ICE is out of control everywhere."
The worst day for my life, not only for my life, for my daughter and my family.
Last Sunday, I got a desperate call from the Mancia Rodriguez family saying that Adonai had been detained. We're very close, so I came rushing here to Morristown. People were terrified. There was raids going on and people were just being taken. I arrived at the house to utter chaos. The family was just devastated. We had no idea where he was. The confusion was just palpable. And we just spent 2 days trying to locate Adonai in the system and trying to figure out how to go about this process.
Annabelle, you can show him what the photo you have in your tablet?
Daddy.
Who is Adonai? I can tell you it was my partner. It was the father for my daughter, Annabella Mancia. An amazing father. Adonai living over here was 16 years old. He have almost, maybe 11 or more, 11 years, me in the country. What happened last Sunday? I'm going to work. I call my daughter, say, hey, I see you later. And later came the worst day for my life, not only for my life, for my daughter and my family. Adonai was ordered food. She opened the door, and that minute just say 3 people jumping in him and take it, hey, you gotta rest. Adonai say, hey, before you get arrested, check my record, check, my license, I have everything. She said, we don't care, just put in the custody, put into the floor. And cuando Adonai got it really fast, say, hold it, my daughter's inside. And Adonai repeat 3 times and say, hey, my daughter's inside, please, my daughter's inside. Dime a call, or call somebody, She said, no, we're not coming for your daughter, we're coming for you.
They brought him to an unmarked vehicle along with other men that they had detained, and they brought him away to the Elizabeth Detention Center, leaving his daughter by herself in the house.
What happened to the daughter?
She was found about an hour later by a neighbor wandering in the street crying for her dad. She had put on her shoes and her jacket to go look for him because she knew it wasn't supposed to take that long for her father to get food from the front door.
And she said, she see in the mirror, we have a mirror in the room. She said, I talk to myself, mommy. I need to be strong and put in my jacket. What do you say in the mirror?
I said, Daddy's taking too long. Then I'm going outside there and trying to look for my dad. But I stayed next to the house right there. Where's my tree?
Stayed close?
And then I found somebody and I was over there. And then I wait for them and then I said, hello, I'm trying to find my dad. He's not coming back, and I live in this house. I'm trying to find him, and they're not coming back, but I'm trying.
Adonai was absolutely not a criminal, a hardened criminal of any kind. He has no criminal record. He's a hardworking man who came under refugee status when he was just a teenager.
How you explain your daughter for 6 years old? Your father's got arrested for something maybe she's not got it, because the first answer what she did to me, it is, mommy, my father don't stole a bank, she don't broke a bank, she have the money for pay them food, why she take my daddy? It's okay. It's okay, my love. It's okay. It's okay, my love. Mommy's here.
Annabella is traumatized, to say the least. She does not want to be alone. She does not want to go to school. She doesn't want her mom to go to work. she just wants her dad. All she talks about is her dad.
And I have to say, until a time comes when we get a Congress that is controlled by people who are on the left or people who lean towards the left, until we have a time when that comes about and we can hold congressional hearings, honestly, the first, like, after a flurry of rollbacks, the first thing that needs to happen when Democrats take control of Congress needs to be a formation of a committee to call ICE agents and ICE administrators and ICE bureaucrats and ICE everyone from top to bottom to testify. And everyone who has a claim against them to come in and testify as well. There needs to be a record for now and for all time about what they are doing here. And I think Bernie Sanders, until such a time as we have a Congress that is capable of doing that, Bernie Sanders is doing the next best thing, which is using his considerable war chest in order to finance the filming and recording of these stories and putting them out into the world, because we need to know the stories of hundreds of thousands of people. We need to know the stories of, tens of thousands of families who have been broken up by these actions, people who have been destroyed in body and mind. Like, I'm sorry, but like, this needs to be playing like 24/7 on like any kind of like independent media. This needs to be playing like 24/7 on like mainstream media. This, like, if Republicans really don't want to talk about this kind of stuff, don't give them a single thing other than this to talk about. Make this the biggest and only story for months. Like, starve the media ecosystem until this is the only thing that is talked about.
Who it is?
Dad.
That's Dad?
You keep him with you?
Yeah.
Currently, Adonai has a lawyer. He was in the process of getting his green card. So we're hoping that the court will accept the case to be reopened, and that will mean that he can't be deported and that we will be able to bail him out, hopefully.
Sí, te escucha. Mira, saluda.
No, pues yo estaba preocupado cuando me agarraron porque literalmente mi hija se había quedado botada solita, entonces la mamá de ella no sabía pues
Claro.
que ella estaba sola.
Pero esta semana que llevas como detenido, ¿cómo has sentido durante la semana?
¿Cómo te sientes?
Pues donde estoy bien, pero literalmente quiero estar con mi hija en mi casa, ¿no? Porque ella me necesita bastante, pues no, y yo también la necesito a ella, entonces no me siento muy bien, que digamos.
Claro.
And guys, like, Adonai's not okay. That's the thing, right? Like, that what you're seeing there is an impromptu interview during which he unexpectedly ran into a camera crew as he called home. Right? He's not going to say in front of his little girl that he's not doing okay. But I want you all to know that the conditions within ICE detention facilities are not, oh, you're gonna do okay, bad. brace yourselves. This is a story CNN covered. It's rough, guys. This is the woman with a disability who is going to a brain clinic.
By now, you've probably seen this video from Minneapolis, a woman being dragged from her car while driving through a protest against President Trump's immigration crackdown. She was arrested 2 blocks from where an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good a week before. You heard her screaming, "I'm disabled," as agents carried her by her arms and her legs from her own car. Tonight, we know her name, Alia Rahman. And in just a minute, you'll hear from her for the first time in an exclusive interview. Alia says she was never part of the protest that day. She was simply just trying to go to her doctor's appointment. But in a statement, the Homeland Security Department called Rahman a, quote, agitator, adding she, quote, ignored multiple commands by an officer to move her vehicle away from the scene. She was arrested for obstruction. The Minneapolis police chief, Brian O'Hara, he watched the video. He sees it differently.
Hey, Mr.
Obviously,
Miyagi.
I don't know why law enforcement officers initially approached the vehicle. It pisses me off to see that. To see men doing that to a woman who's disabled. It pisses me off. If those cops works for me, they'd have a problem right now.
With me now.
And that problem would be paid desk leave for a couple weeks and a stern talking to.
Alia Rahman and her attorney, Alexa Van Brunt. Thank you both for being here. Alia, I want to start with you because this has been viral. People have seen this video over and over again. People have many opinions. This is what—
Yeah, of course. She was given like several conflicting commands as she's trying to make it to a brain clinic. A clinic for traumatic brain injuries. And like, it's ridiculous. They deliberately put you in situations where they give you conflicting orders to make it impossible to actually follow the directions. They set up an unwinnable scenario for you.
What happened to you? It is your life, it is your journey. But the government, they're calling you an agitator. So can you just help me understand? Walk me through what happened in those moments before these agents dragged you from your car.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Laura. And happy birthday, Dr. King. I'm really happy that you asked this question, right? Because I have been so concerned.
So in basic words, trumped up charges. In basic words, they don't even have to have a reason. They don't have to have anything to charge you with, Enzo. ICE does not have to have any kind of reasonable, honestly, any kind of reasonable suspicion or, any kind of legal justification at all. They're just grabbing people. When you ask, under what pretense, they have none. They're open about having none. Anything less than immediately obeying their conflicting directions results in brutality directed towards you. They don't give a fuck.
That folks might be
not a single one of them has faced any kind of legal ramification for what they're doing. And on a daily basis, these people are violating the law.
Distracted from the real issue at hand by instead debating why I proceeded slowly through a militarized traffic jam full of pedestrians and a cacophony of conflicting instructions. I was on my way to the doctor. I was on a main road that is a direct road from my house to the parking lot. Suddenly there's traffic in the road. There are vehicles blocking it ahead, vehicles that later I understood were ICE vehicles. People around me trying to understand what to do. And I think that you see the rest.
So you weren't, in the beginning of the video, you see the federal agents saying something to you before you were dragged out. They say that you were given what they call repeated warnings. I just heard you say this cacophony of conflicting commands. What were they saying to you? What did you understand to be happening?
Well, I think I didn't understand what was happening, right? I am a disabled person who has autism, right? That is a big piece of this. But I think even someone who doesn't have the kind of auditory processing challenges I do would not know what to do with the sentence, move, I will break your effing window. And then back and forth between move, get out, trying to open my door, more threats of breaking a window, which I don't understand the functional purpose of, and it's not a warning, it's a threat of violence that really shouldn't be packaged with an instruction. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to tell you about what my ears hear in that situation, but in my ears, my autism also comes with an auditory sorting challenge where multiple human voices at like a loud party or on a chaotic street all sound like they're the person talking to me. So that's one reason, you see me looking and trying to identify which lips are talking to me. But of course, that's not possible because ICE officers wear things that cover their mouths and faces except for their eyes, right?
So it is so informative for you to explain what it was personally like for you, for us to have watched the video and now to understand at least a part of what you were experiencing in that, because there is a conflicting report from their vantage point that tries to explain what you were thinking or feeling, and you've done it yourself. But I want to be clear, you say you were not there to protest ICE. You were there on your way to an appointment and you stopped in the traffic and I got the conflicting reports and commands. Were you there to protest ICE? Had you ever protested ICE before in that arena?
No.
So when you went that day and you were detained, as you said, what was that like for you once you were? What happened after they took you?
Number one, I experienced a very specific set of dehumanization practices during the 6 stages of detention and processing that I counted before I went unconscious and was taken out in an ambulance. Number 2, during every one of those stages, I clocked ICE agents doing things that indicated they were not aware of what their job was or how to do it. Lots of, where's this? What do we do next? Really? Agents had to stop at all 5 stages. Agents had to stop, ask someone else what to do, where basic things were. There were local staff who seemed to know some of that thing, but I distinctly heard 2 of them at one point say to each other, we don't want to step on ICE's toes, when I was trying to get medical care. And the third is that the practices I experienced with like my own body, ears, and eyes do not make sense to me as an immigration or public safety strategy, because they make things less safe. And honestly, I was not separated from a citizen of any other country. I think people believe this is just immigrants in there, and it is not. I was told that if I were a normal human, nothing would be a problem.
It is just, they take whoever, they don't have any legit reason to hold them. They try and fabricate reasons after the fact. And like, they have no idea what the fuck they're doing behind the scenes. They have no idea what they're doing behind the scenes.
They said that to
We have now heard from, oh yeah. When I asked for disability accommodations, and I said, did anybody bring my cane with me from the car? I need that to walk, not stand, but walk, because my balance is bad. They said, there's no canes here. They stood me up in leg irons and said, walk, push my back. Walk, you can do it. Nobody said, maybe we should find something else. There was no medical screening. I was never once asked for my ID, even told I was under arrest, never charged.
Wow.
And when they...
Yeah, see, this is exactly what I mean. Like, they don't arrest you. They just take you. They don't charge you. They just take you. There's no even pretense of following the law. They just do this to inflict harm. That's it. That is it. When she was released, was she able to see a doctor? I assume at some point after she was released, she was able to see a doctor because she passed out in ICE detention. Like, they pushed her so much that she literally fell unconscious because she wasn't able to go to her traumatic brain injury appointment, which presumably would have helped her not fall unconscious.
Yeah, I sat there and somebody finally noticed I was not able to balance even sitting, and they said, I think there might have been a wheelchair around here the other day, because I kept asking, can you at least get a wheelchair? People said, I don't even know if we have those. That's not the answer to that question. That's never should be happening. And when they put me in the wheelchair, finally, an officer said, wait, you were driving, right? So your legs do work.
What?
You know, I refrain from saying, I refrain from saying, hey, have you ever seen a handicap parking spot, sir? What? But the thing is, right, people are going to say, well, none of that stuff is illegal. It's just mean. But I have read too many books to think that things are okay when this level of dehumanization is happening, because it means officers are probably trying to get through their day when they have been given orders that are not righteous and they are to hurt people.
Alexa, I have to ask you, and Ali, you have to forgive me, my own sister is mobility impaired, and she drives with the assistance, had to accommodate and adapt her car so many different times.
This is illegal in like 12 dozen different ways. She should sue, and I guarantee you she would win. But like, the fact that this is already so normalized, that's one of the aspects here. It is so normalized to do this to a US citizen, to someone who's disabled, to somebody who's on their way to a medical appointment. They're doing this to everybody. Like, there's no distinction or discrimination here. They're going after anyone who is remotely vulnerable when they look at them, because what they're looking for is people where it's going to be easy to snatch them up, because they're getting bonuses for the number of people they bring in, whether or not they're actually arrested or charged or what have you. They're getting bonuses for just bringing in human bodies, and that's what they're doing. ICE and DHS need to be abolished. They are evil institutions, doing evil things, enacting actual harm every single day in my community, and pretty soon in all of your communities.
Able to still function and live in the standard that she wants to. I get emotional thinking about it, but my blood is boiling thinking about that experience. So can you just describe from the legal perspective of it?
Yeah.
She was detained. The DHS says that she was arrested for obstruction.
Yeah.
Are you aware if she is facing any charges? I have to, for a second, compartmentalize the dehumanization just to get through the question. You have to forgive me.
Malk writes, I understand colonialism is a brutal and immoral practice, but even so, this is all the horror of colonizing people without any material gain. What is that? Ideological colonization. Well, what that's called is fascism. You know, one of the shortest definitions of fascism is colonialism brought home and directed inward, right? Which is what we're seeing. Like, that's what is happening right now. And if you look at the process that brought us here, at the ideology that fuels it, it checks off all the boxes, every single box of Umberto Eco's 14 Points of Fascism. Which, folks, I have a video where I literally read off the entirety of Umberto Eco's Fascism, or Eternal Fascism, and talk about his 14 points of definition for what fascism is. And I talk about how that applies to Donald Trump. And I recorded that video 2 years ago, before Donald Trump was elected. Folks should check out that video. It's good stuff. But also, it is all coming to pass. Depressingly coming to pass.
Have you heard that she is facing any charges?
I have not heard, and it would If she were, they would be completely baseless because the people who violated laws at that scene were the DHS officers. And in particular, every officer in the way they treated her once they found out she had a disability, because Alia was very upfront about it. She told the officers, I am a woman with a disability. I have autism. She yelled it. You can hear it on the video. And they escalated at that point and then subjected her to a very brutal use of force, pulling her out of the car, slamming her down on the ground, and then carrying her like an animal is the only way to describe it. That violates every police standard and how you are supposed to interact with somebody in a car. And it violates every standard in how you're supposed to interact with somebody with a disability.
It's really infuriating being right. Yeah, being right does feel terrible, Mr. Malachite. And, you know, in response to all of this pressure that is finally coming to bear on Democrats in the Senate, this pressure that has pushed Democrats to finally consider going to the mat in order to oppose ICE funding and DHS funding. You know, the American Prospect put up this this really helpful just kind of overview of the current situation yesterday. And the asks being made by the Democrats are an independent federal state investigation, which includes Minnesota officials of ICE murders and tactics, a ban on ICE use of face masks, a requirement of body cameras. There was $20 million in funding for body cameras in the current appropriations bill, but they are not mandatory, so this would make them mandatory. A ban on roving ICE patrols, a ban on the invented category of administrative warrants that bypass judges in violation of the Fourth Amendment, and an end to arrest quotas. All of these would be positive changes, but there's, again, a problem here, which is that we're opening up with already a watered down list of asks. Like, the starting point for any negotiations should be abolish ICE, abolish DHS, axe Kristi Noem, axe Stephen Miller. Those should be the starting positions. Don't pre-water down what you're negotiating, because Republicans are going to try and water all of those points down. You know, you start with the hardline position. Start, aim for the moon and see what they give you. If it then got negotiated down, we could maybe live with that a little bit better. But this is the starting point, and getting negotiated down from there, it's not good enough. It is frustrating as hell to watch this unfold day after day. They really have no idea how to do their jobs. Oh no, for folks like Chuck Schumer knows what his job is, and his job is to protect, investors. The same investors that are making tons of bucks off of the government contracts that are being put out by the Trump administration. Chuck Schumer is there to act as a roadblock to any substantive change. He wants to protect the status quo. And I think folks like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries don't quite realize yet what an existential threat this is. They don't get it. They're not from Minnesota. They're not seeing people getting shot just a block away from their house. They're not seeing people getting executed in the middle of the street and thinking, oh, this is something that could come into my neighborhood sometime. Can we call Schumer complicit to fascism? Yes, of course. Of course he is. But it still remains our job to put pressure on him to move him in a better direction, because he's what we got right now, unfortunately. We are stuck with the cards we have. We need to play them. And so we do our best. We got to keep leveraging where we can, which is why it's so important for you guys to call. Even if you think it is a hopeless battle, to call you like you're a Republican elected official or you're conservative Democrat elected official, it's important to keep applying that leverage and pressure. Because also, while these people are committed to this status quo, they're also cowards. They are also cowards. Even if they did see it, they do nothing. Look at Minnesota Dems. They don't see themselves as part of the general public. If you believe that, then I don't think you understand what's going on in Minnesota. Folks like Jason Chavez on the Minneapolis City Council have been going out there every damn day and doing work in this community, showing up at protests, showing up and getting gassed himself. He's showing up and he's putting his office on the line in order to go and make food deliveries for folks. Not everyone is a worthless piece of shit in elected office. And our job is to get more people of quality, more people of worth, more people who will go to the mat for us into office. That's our job. That's what organizing is about. That's why you get involved in your local politics. Us not getting involved, us not being involved, is what allowed people like Hakeem Jeffries, what allowed people like Chuck Schumer to come into power. That's the issue. That's the problem. In fact, we've been asleep for way too long. It's time for us to start showing up. I mean, Walls, Klobuchar, Frey, words, empty words, not pushing. Yeah, but again, the entire point is that we are the solution. We keep us safe. But that also means we are the solution to our political problems. When we look and we see Walls not doing enough, when we see Klobuchar not doing enough, when we see Frey not doing enough, it is our job to step up and change that status quo. It is frustrating that we are in this situation now, absolutely, but it is our job to fix that. God, I want us to fix that. Because this is what's happening in our neighborhoods right now.
I actually don't know kind of what's going on, so can you fill me in?
Yeah. So
these two were taken by ICE and put into detention in the Whipple building. This is what's happening to folks who are being detained here in Minnesota.
yesterday, we responded to a sighting of ICE that was in my neighborhood. And when we approached that situation, we were following behind two ICE vehicles. ICE agents got out of the cars. They
this is Care 11 doing Jana Shortle has been doing some incredible reporting locally on ICE.
Sprayed pepper spray into
she's been getting like tear gassed and pepper sprayed with the best of them.
The vent of my car, and after that proceeded to come back, break our windows, take us out of the car and arrest us. They put us into two separate cars. When I was in the car that I was in with ICE agents, they immediately started taunting me, making fun of me, taking pictures of me, calling me ugly, all around just trying to kind of like humiliate me. And then about 2 minutes into our ride, the driver, the ICE agent that had pepper sprayed into the vents of my car said, "You guys got to stop obstructing us. That's why that lesbian bitch is dead." And he was referring to Renee Good, which was shocking to hear him say. And throughout like the rest of the day, everybody who I saw through the booking and detention process at the Whipple building, I told him exactly what he said. That was verbatim. But yeah, it was like a shocking interaction and just extremely dehumanizing and disrespectful, and bigoted, homophobic.
Which, by the way, like, this is the point. This is why ICE does what it does. This is why these people joined up. They joined up to do this. They joined up to target groups of people that they have bigotry in their hearts for. They joined up so that they could torment folks who are gay, folks who are lesbian, folks who are trans, folks who are, importantly, Black, brown, Hispanic. They joined up, not necessarily even for any of the moneyed benefits, but for the cruelty. They joined up to inflict suffering on other human beings. That's why they're there. That is why they delight in this. And that's why I guarantee you, if there's not like some kind of formalized database that they are putting all of these selfies on, then it's some kind of sick fucking like perv jerk group chat that they got going on. I guarantee you. I guarantee you there's like some kind of fucking disgusting, perverted chat where they're all sharing pictures around of these activists that they've snapped pictures of. And they're like I guarantee you that's happening. And it's just disgusting. What this administration has enabled is simply like unprecedented levels of formalized sexual violence and abuse, along with institutionalized bigotry. It is disgusting beyond words.
And so there's, the way that we were treated when we were abducted, when we were taken. But then there was the experience that we had when we were in the detention center itself. It was, for me, the most difficult part of being in that building. From the holding cell that I was in, I heard like just wailing, like desperate crying from a room full of women, who I later, when I went to the bathroom and was able to see more of the detention center, saw was just a room of 12 to 13 Hispanic women. Just there was a man who was screaming, "Let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go," over and over again. I heard a child screaming, like hearing like the visceral pain of the people that were in that facility juxtaposed with the small talk and the laughter from the agents and from all of the people that were the employees that are part of this operation and making this happen, right? From all of these different federal agencies. We could hear folks talking outside our doors about, asking how their families were. Just lots of laughter and just the juxtaposition of that it could just be like any other day, while you're also hearing this, like, it's extreme pain from the people who are experiencing some of the worst, like, things that they've experienced in their lives was just like tragic. And yeah, it was awful. There were these large, really large holding cells when we first got there. I saw a large holding cell that probably had like 40 or 50 people in it, most of them Hispanic. But I saw Hispanic people there, many Hispanic people, many Somali and East African people. And then there were U.S. citizens as well who
Here you go,
had been arrested, brought in. We, at the end of the day, were not given charges. And, that might be because, the ICE agents came and broke our windows and said that we were impeding their investigation, but we were behind them. There was no one in front of them. They could have kept going.
What was the situation you responded to? Do you know what it was?
The location?
Yeah, are you like an observer? How did you get?
Yeah, we're observers. We responded to an ICE sighting on the intersection of 42nd Avenue and 16th Street in South Minneapolis. The ICE agents had
like when people ask like, well, what are they doing? And it's like they're following along behind these people. They're following along behind ICE, which is not impeding them in their job in any way. Unless, I guess, ICE decides to suddenly reverse on the road, but that seems like an illegal traffic violation, I guess. There's no reason. It's all manufactured pretext. It is all just bullshit. Nothing ICE says is true or can be trusted. It's why they are constantly hiding information, hiding evidence. It's disgusting.
kind of cornered. Another observer had apparently pepper sprayed their car as well. And then they turned to leave the scene, and we followed them from that point.
And
then,
Brandon, were you taken too?
Yeah, I was put in a separate vehicle, unmarked SUV. I was offered at one point during my detention, I was offered money or legal protection for any undocumented family members or the which I don't have, or in exchange for the names of undocumented persons, or in exchange for the name of protest organizers.
Yeah, they're trying to like flip anyone that they detain, by the way, into being able to grab more people. It's sickening.
They offered you money for names?
They offered me money or legal protection for undocumented people I know in exchange for the names of undocumented people or for the names of protest organizers, yes.
Which, by the way, if ICE ever makes you that offer, you can't trust them. They're full of lies and bullshit. If you tell them that you want X, Y, and Z undocumented people protected, they're going to make a beeline to arrest those people immediately. Because they cannot be trusted. They are fucking liars and thieves.
Why were they asking you that?
I was imprisoned with two other Hispanic men in the U.S. citizens area of the facility. If I had to guess, I don't know why they asked me. I would guess it's because of me having a Mexican last name and being part Mexican. And I also saw despondent people, crying, hopeless, no energy. We were not given food unless we would bang on the doors and ask people passing.
No, Blueberry Bumblebee, what he's saying is they offered legal protection for any undocumented people he cares about if he can give up undocumented people he doesn't care about. It's legal protection for those other people that he gives a damn about. But luckily, at least as far as we know, people in Minnesota aren't so stupid and sap-like to believe and fall for shit like this.
If we wanted a bathroom break, we'd press an intercom button, but they would take 20 or more minutes to respond until eventually they stopped responding and the button didn't do anything. So the only way to get bathroom breaks was to bang on the window of the cell and just beg people walking by. And throughout every encounter I had with a government agent, I tried to de-escalate. I sensed that their stress was high. I told them, I'm not mad at you. I care about you. You're a human being, and we're all human beings here. And what was really upsetting for me was that I knew I was getting out. I knew that I'm a U.S. citizen and I have legal rights, legal protections. And it was really sad to see the faces of the people that weren't getting out, knew they weren't getting out, and had no hope. Weren't going to see their families, weren't going to go to their jobs, weren't going to walk through their city ever again.
I had a conversation with someone there. I believe it was a border control agent, a younger man, and he wanted to know why I was there, why were we there, and so I shared like this is why we care. We're concerned about our neighbors. We are scared for our community. That's why we're showing up. And we had a long conversation. We didn't agree on everything. But at the end of the conversation, he said, man, I just thought all you guys were crazy. I think that they really think that protesters are crazy. They think that, and they don't realize, I think, that we are doing this actually from like a deep place of like love and care for our community and empathy.
Well, you have to understand, like, the people that ICE is recruiting actively come from sheltered rural communities, right? By and large. They come from places where if they exist within the conservative ecosystem, they are inundated with messaging that people in Democrat cities are like only a half step removed from like zombie runners from 28 Days Later. They think effectively that the people who are showing up to protest at them angrily are like brainwashed and like insane social justice warriors and like people who are turning up because they've been captured by the cult of liberalism. And like they think it's genuinely that in order to give a damn about your neighbors, you have to be effectively too stupid for words. They don't understand the concept that we care about our neighbors here. They don't understand it. They don't understand radical love. The love that people here in Minnesota are demonstrating on a day-to-day basis.
And yeah, it was a wild experience.
Did they arrest you and read you your rights?
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, no, Jeff Bezos, or not Jeff Bezos, George Soros paid, 100,000 people to march in negative 40-degree wind chill. That makes sense. Yeah. People did that for $100 to go out there, each one.
I was read my rights while being interviewed by special agents from Homeland Security, and I was given a phone call. Patty was not.
I was read my rights when we were at the Whipple building, but I was not given a phone call even though I asked for it multiple times.
The only reason that our families knew we were abducted is because our phones fell on the ground, and passerbys picked them up and texted our loved one that we were gone.
How long were you taken?
We were there for 7.5 hours, probably 8.
We were arrested at around 9:45. We were released at what time? 7 p.m.
So yeah, between 8 and 9 hours.
You were arrested in the morning and then got out at night.
I had eaten a granola bar in that time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all they.
And their reasoning for taking you to Whipple was what?
I think that's where they're taking everyone who is being like taken or abducted by ICE.
Oh, here's the one I'm playing now,
when we got to the Whipple building, it was a huge garage essentially that we were driven into, and there were tables lining the walls where people were getting booked in. There was a line of Hispanic men and a Somali woman that were lined up against the wall. It was very
surreal.
Yeah, it was very like surreal and draconian, and
we saw buses being prepared, and I later learned from my cellmate that those buses were being loaded with people being brought to the airport.
Yeah. So we got booked in that large room where everyone was booked, and then we were taken into the building where we went into a room where we were put into foot cuffs, and then that's where I saw the first like large holding cell that had probably 40 to 50 mostly Hispanic people in that room.
And their claim for taking you, and I'm saying their claim, was you were getting in their way, obstruction?
Correct. That's their claim, but we left without any charges. And it sounds like, according to the National Lawyers Guild, that we're not the only ones, that many people who are getting taken by ICE out in the streets, observers are getting released without charges, which would, insinuate maybe that what we're doing isn't actually illegal.
Yes, that is in fact exactly what it would insinuate. It turns out that ICE is just trying to intimidate and cause fear and throw their chests around. And I need to really stress this. For no reason. They do not need to exist. ICE has not improved any of your lives or mine. DHS has not improved any of your lives or mine. These organizations do not need to exist. We can offer a pathway to citizenship. We can do all of the things that ICE does, minus the cruelty, minus the human misery, with just forms that people can fill out in order to apply for citizenship. All of this is completely fucking unnecessary.
Do you know what was happening at 42nd and 16th, the original call?
We had just heard that ICE was on the scene and that chemical agents were being used
A
on
lot of it goes back to the
observers.
Patriot Act.
On observers. And 40, I live not far from there. That's
I'm a teacher. We've been doing active lockdown drills to be ready. They have concentrated in a few areas, but we know it's bound to get worse. He'll take the Minnesota show on the road. Yep. I wish I could say that's not the case. But yeah, here in Minnesota, we've had to lock down schools. Like the drills that kids have been doing for school shooters, they've had to do that because ICE is in the parking lot. And that they're not going to stop here in Minnesota, folks. They're gonna be doing the rounds.
That's residential, right? Or was it a
Yeah.
Yeah, and to our knowledge, there's no active ICE raid.
Good on UKB for getting ready. It's really important to be ready. The readiness can save a lot of people.
They were just driving down the street.
So now that you're 12 hours removed from this and then some, what are you thinking and feeling?
I left feeling, they tried to make me feel powerless and I left feeling very powerful. They tried to make me feel hopeless and I left feeling very hopeful. I don't think that this can last.
I left feeling pretty heartbroken. I think, yeah, just hearing what that officer had specifically said about Renee Good just, made me feel like the ICE agents that are out in the streets don't care that the community is grieving and that someone was murdered. And that makes me feel, yeah.
Why did he go there? And in that, as much as you can recall the conversation, why did he say that?
He was extremely angry and activated, and he was wanting to say things that made me feel angry and demoralized. That was the goal.
Did you take his name or badge number? Were you able to?
The goal is just to hurt. It's just to hurt people.
I wasn't able to get his name or badge number. There is video, but
also, like, they're all covering up their badge numbers. They're all hiding their identities. That's why they're wearing the face masks.
He has his mask up.
Yeah, they're very hesitant. I was trying to make small talk with them and just try to get to know them on a human level. I was recommending where to get good winter jackets and boots because they didn't seem equipped for the weather. They were very hesitant to tell me what their names were, to tell.
Dude, you are being way too nice to them. Like, I understand the goal here is to try and, like, humanize who they're brutalizing, but, like, you gotta stop.
Tell me where they're from or any personal details.
Yeah. Do you know if they were Border Patrol or ICE?
ICE.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I also we were there for 9 hours yesterday. It was, you're just sitting there in a cell, right? And you're just like, I want to go home. All I wanted to be was home. And then, like, it just kept, I just kept realizing every single time I thought that, I was like, I get to go home. I get to go home. I'm lucky. Nobody else here, like the other people here, they don't get to go home.
Have people calling lawyers on their behalf or people sending help to find them.
Yeah. So what we are doing, what our community is doing, and how we're coming together, like, it matters. It's for good reason. We're making a difference. And, like, it needs to continue. Like, what's happening is just, it's harmful, it's cruel, it's inhumane. And we were able to see that up close yesterday.
The administration continues to say when it speaks publicly on national news outlets or gives its press conferences that folks like yourself and other observers are un-American, are violent, are getting in the way of important work. But that doesn't sound like what you're describing to me.
No, my motivation for doing this is because I love my community. I love my community. I want to protect my community. We are experiencing, like, systemic and just blatant violence. People are being harmed, and I am standing up for my community. That's why I'm doing this, from a place of love and care. And
like, they don't get it. They do not understand. All these people, by the way, I'm willing to bet a lot that these folks have huge Christian identities. They consider themselves true believers who are doing the Lord's work by joining ICE. And they cannot understand the idea of radically loving one's neighbor. They are aliens to the very God they profess to believe in. It's truly disgusting work that they're doing.
I don't know. That I think probably is American. Like that seems pretty American. I don't know.
How about you, Brandon? It sounded like, similar, like that, like my family doesn't live here, and they are all hearing about a Minneapolis that I don't recognize. And I live in South Minneapolis. The way they describe my own home to me, I'm like, that's not what we are.
Yeah, and speaking with some of the out of town agents, that's what I wanted to stress to them is that I don't hate them. I hate what's happening to my community. I hate that families are being separated and hurt, and that individuals are getting hurt, and that what we want is for the public to feel safe and for safety in our streets.
And we want them to see us as human.
Yeah.
We are human. Like we are not crazy. And that's that's all we want. And I think if they could see us as human, if they could see that we were doing this from a place of like love and care and defending our community, I think that they would feel a lot less comfortable about the operation that they're carrying out here.
Yep. But unfortunately, they are deliberately siloed off. None of these folks are capable of feeling what you are asking them to feel. They have deliberately cut themselves off from being able to feel that way in an effort to enable them to do exactly this. This is, by the way, one of the end goals of all of the dehumanization that you guys have seen on Fox News, all of the dehumanization you've seen on Newsmax, all of the dehumanization of us you have seen from the Trump administration both times. All of the egging on toward violence has been directly toward this end. And we are now seeing it come to fruition. They have built a movement that is geared toward our extermination. And we have to organize now to keep our communities safe, to keep our families safe, to keep ourselves safe. You have to start going to your local Dem meetings. You have to start going to your local DSA meetings. You have to start going to some kind of local organizing group that is going to be doing stuff on the ground. We have to be organizing for this, to keep us safe, to start showing up, to make sure our cities don't have sheriff's departments that are collaborating with ICE, to get city ordinances passed, to deny public property to ICE agents. We have to start doing that work. It is vital. It is vital work that we have in front of us. We got to make this happen, folks. So, folks, join your DSA. Join your local Dems. Start showing up at those town halls and, city meetings. Start showing up. If you need help getting started, we have Dragonfly in our Discord ready and willing and able to help you get involved and make your Dems more radical. We have Gamergy standing by in our Discord to help you make your DSA more effective. So we can put the pressure on. We can be the people in the room that deny ICE the ability to freely operate in our communities. It is necessary for us to start now if we haven't already. It is necessary for us to mobilize to beat these bastards. And not just to beat them when we're talking about ICE, not just to beat them when we're talking about Kristi Noem, not just to beat them when we're talking about Stephen Miller or DHS. We need to beat them totally and completely. We need to salt the earth over their ideology. All right? It needs to be that we marshal a force of working class people acting in solidarity with one another, and we need to bring down their entire petty dreams of glory, their dreams of wealth. We need to put an end to all of that. These people are literally out there for their donors, trying to create entire city-states that bend to their whim, that allow them to do whatever they want, like the petty tyrants they aspire to be. And it is disgusting, and it must stop. We must break apart their corporations. We must shatter their ability to consolidate wealth to a criminal degree. We must have a change in how things are happening in this country, and we must set ourselves down a better path towards a more egalitarian future where everyone is free. Not just one class of people for whom all wealth in the world is reserved, but everyone is free. So folks, get ready, get organized. Let's get to work. If you got anything out of this, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Comments longer than 8 words apparently do better in the algorithm. Share the video around. And also, folks, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Tested on cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It's non-tucking lingerie. It's really, really great, really attractive. Check it out. Link down in the doobly-doo. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and switching streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, dating, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.